Dark Cloud is a third-person role-playing video game for the PlayStation 2 console that was developed by Level 5 and published by Sony Computer Entertainment in the December of the year 2000 in Japan, and it was released in the May of 2001 for us North Americans, while Europeans first had it available further back in the September of 2001. The gameplay combines action role-playing with elements of city-building games and was originally intended to be a launch title for the PS2. However, it was instead eventually released later in the year. And why? For what reason?
I don't know.
To give a brief summary of the premise, the game's story focuses on a group of adventurers who band together to fight against a malevolent djinn known as the Dark Genie, whose attacks on their home villages have adversely affected them all. The main protagonist is an adolescent boy named Toan, canonically, though in typical JRPG fashion, the player can name him pretty much whatever they want, along with the other recruitable party members. At any rate, upon the destruction of his home in Norun village and the loss of his parents, friends, and neighbors, along with it, finally, the Fairy King Simba,
For realsies?
yes, that's canonically his real name, is a nature spirit who managed to cast a spell which encased all of the people, buildings, and landmarks within Atla, the nanosecond before they would have been destroyed by the Dark Genie. They can only be opened by Atlamelia, the orb-like node on the back of Toan's glove, and are scattered throughout the game's various dungeons, granting him the powers to rebuild destroyed areas. Ice Queen La Saia is a boss and a character in the original Dark Cloud game. She was Queen of Queens, the city-state in West Terra, not the place that Spider-Man lives in New York, back when the town was still a kingdom. She ascended the throne when she was 18. She then met a merchant named Rando. Yes, that's literally his name, too.
No shit.
And they fell in love. However, they could only meet in secret due to the societal taboo of a royal being intimately involved with a commoner. One evening, they planned to marry in secret. The night of the wedding, La Saia arrived at the church. However, Rando never showed up. Left at the altar, she was naturally heartbroken with despair, when she decided to end it all by throwing herself into the ocean. When the people heard the news of her death, they sank the queen's favorite royal ship in her honor. The merchants of Queens later began to utilize the shipwreck as a warehouse, but soon after the Dark Genie was released, the ship was overrun with evil, hostile creatures. This was decades after the tragedy when Toan and his party, including the good genie Ruby, would clear out the shipwreck of monsters, only to find Queen La Saia herself waiting for them at the end. After her defeat, La Saia mournfully asks in lamentation why her bitterness remains, when Rando appears and explains that the reason he had taken the moon orb and had acquired the life stone was in order to make himself immortal, but the price of this Faustian bargain was a sort of monkey's paw equivalent exchange, and that he would sacrifice that which mattered most to him in doing so, and later came to realize that immortality was meaningless to him without his true love by his side, causing him to give Toan the moon orb and shatters the life stone, much to Joker's chagrin, as it had been keeping them both alive and in perpetual torment supernaturally. This finally allows them to truly shed their once again mortal coils, and their souls depart to the afterlife, finally happy that they are together again at last for the rest of eternity.